Okay, so welcome to this Qigong and Taoist practice session. So for a few minutes, I'll tell you who I am briefly. I don't want to bore you overly with my story, but who I am, what attracted me to Qigong, broadly what it can do, and what we're going to do today, and then we'll get straight into it. So my name is Chris, and Phoenix Blue Health Arts is my company, and I've been teaching now for about 10 years this material. Before that, I've also taught music for many years. So my background is a musician. That's what was my first love. And what first drew me to these practices was needing something to sort out my energy and get a bit healthy. I was never that much attracted to gyms, and I was an arty person. But nevertheless, in my late 20s, I got to a point where tense, stressed, needed something. And the way I actually came in through was the martial arts aspect. And I found it very interesting and stilling for the mind because I was so involved and so interested in doing the martial arts thing. And obviously I burnt off a lot of energy and just expressed myself, got some things out. And so I felt better for it. So then as that got subtler, I got into the internal martial arts, which are things like Tai Chi and Qigong and Bagua and things like that. And that obviously, like many people, leads me more into health and meditative practices. And so Qigong really, for me, I was thinking about this morning. If I could put it in a soundbite, what it is for me, it's a toolkit and a way of relating and connecting to yourself outside of just talking in your head and psychoanalytical stuff. So it's a health practice, but for me, it's just this many faceted way of engaging with what we are, kind of for its own sake, and tuning in with who we are, and then ultimately feeling good, feeling not stressed, feeling smooth, feeling present, feeling alive, being able to enjoy our life. That's the big picture. So excuse me while I'm just consulting my notes as well. Yeah, so I think, and I'm assuming many of you have heard about Qigong and maybe done it. There's quite a few of you that have not trained with me, so therefore I'll kind of start at the beginning. So therefore, what we're going to do today, we're going to do 3 different modes of practice, which will be sitting, standing, and doing some movement. From the Taoist perspective, that covers the 3 of the 5 things that any human being can do. The other 2 being lying down and interacting like we are now. And any combination of those basically covers everything you're ever going to do. So we're going to take 3 of them today. And if you think about it, they've got added levels of complexity. When we're sat down, we're completely still. We don't really have to keep ourselves up. We don't have to worry about how we're aligned as much. Then when we get up, even when we're just stood still, there is a lot more going on because the body is supporting itself. And that's when we can start to find out more so where we hold tensions and things in the body. And then eventually from there into movement. But Taoist arts like to separate everything down to what it is on its own, and then put it in with other stuff. So separate and combine, separate and combine. It's a great methodology to teach or to learn anything. So then the 3 concepts that I want to introduce beyond that are 3 parts of our being. In Taoism, they're sometimes called the 3 dantians. Dantian just kind of means an energy center, a bit like a chakra. But right across many cultures, we've all heard it. We've got the head, which is the upper dantian. We've got the heart. and we've got the gut, the body. How's that? So it's a trinity. So we've got these three things. It's also in Chinese, they talk about Jin, Qi, and Shen. Another way to look at that is the energy that runs your body and all your health and the many functions of your body and how you coordinate yourself, how you make a cup of tea even. That's all ran by this low dantian in the gut. Then in the heart center, that's our emotional connection to the world, joy, and all the other things that we experience in the heart and our kind of emotional tone. And then the head could be classed as, some would say mind, but I want to say spirit, because one of the things within Taoist practices, it's this one that does a lot more. And all this one really has to do is kind of observe, like real spirit awareness, consciousness is a way to explain it, rather than just the thinking mind, that actively thinking mind. And again, in the heart, the simplest way I can explain it, when you are conscious in this part of your body, you are in your truth. So it's very hard to bullshit someone or bullshit yourself or act in an authentic way when you are in this part of yourself, which does correspond to how we move. So you'll end up moving in a very authentic, therapeutic way. And down here in the lower dantian, we've really got that gut sense of what's right. Bit different from the heart, but that gut, almost non-verbal, the gut feeling. So I want to try and bring those things as a theme through three forms of action and movement. So what we'll do for, a good 15 minutes is I'm going to take you through a guided seated practice, which essentially I covered for 7 hours in the breathing course that we have available. So that, and I could have gone on for 7 times that. So it shows how much stuff there is in it. But here we go, folks. So some basics. You want to be on a comfortable chair so your legs can be, so that your feet can be flat on the floor. And you don't want to be leaning back. This isn't kind of chilling on the couch time. You want to be, so often I'm slightly forward in the chair so that my spine's straight. And the breathing in a nutshell and the general kind of form of the body is that the chest gently hollows and softens. And we breathe with the belly. The heart's open. And remember, I talked about spirit. A good way to explain that is that your head gets very light. The chin gently tucks as if you're singing a low note. And a good visualization, it's almost like there's a portal opening in the top of your head and a torch is shining out. And what that will basically do is lift your spirit. And then you've got some awareness of being in your heart and in your truth. And then you've also got some awareness of being in this gut area. We've also aware of what the hips and sacrum are doing and the legs all the way down to the feet. That'll get even more crucial when we stand up in a bit. So just get in that position as you can, guys, and just start being here. It's useful to place your hands on your belly and just start breathing with the belly. That means that when you take a breath, it's going to get bigger. And when you breathe out, it's going to get gently smaller. So a theme that runs through all these practices is in order to kind of wake that part of us up, you might need to kind of make it happen for a moment, which will look like this, you know. See how I'm very actively making sure that my belly is moving. It's moving by the diaphragm going down and then relaxing back up. So get a sense of that. And to some extent, you know, you're making it happen. But, and this is key, moving further into these practices, none of them are done by making anything happen. None of it. It's done by observing and allowing. So now that you've got your belly moving a little bit like that, stop trying to make it. And just look for that naturally occurring. That the belly is getting somewhat bigger and somewhat smaller. And then we can, I want to say, encourage that, stay with it, be with it, and observe it. And that's a beginning. Be aware of your body. Be aware of the space around your body. And be aware that in one sense, we've got our spirit, we've got our heart center, we've got our gut feeling of the world. So we've got all of those experiences of the world going on at once. And we're just paying attention to them for once. Now, I just want you to be aware how you feel. Most of you have probably come from running around. I know I have. It seems that there's always so much to do, even in these strange times. So we like contrasts in this practice, and we're going to work with intent now. So feel how you feel, and then we're going to look for a contrast. What I'm going to invite you to do is just let the past go. And sometimes you can equate the past with what's behind you. So have a sense of what's behind you. Everything you did this morning, everything you did last night, the whole last year, everything. Just let it all go for now. And it's just having that intent that the past can be in the past and that you can come to this present moment here. And the important thing in Taoist practices is then that we take time to observe. We don't make that happen, we suggest it, and then we just kind of, our attention comes back to this moment a little bit. And then the same with the future, all the things that might happen later on today, tomorrow, next year, the unwritten future, we can just leave that where it is for now. So just have that gentle intent. I give myself permission to just leave the future where it is. I've left the past where it is. And you may observe that your energy just comes to this point a little bit more. You might notice your thoughts slightly calming down. And again, then there's the left and right, awareness of the whole body. But left and right, the other thing is interacting with others. So you just might want to have the intent, particularly if you've been at work or something or with the family, just for now, to let everyone else have their energy back. Everyone else's energy goes back to them. And it's theirs for the moment. That's it, guys. Really good. So hopefully you felt a sense of things getting a bit clearer. And this, in the same sense, you can invite your own energy to come back from wherever it may be, whoever may be holding it, bits of it you've put here, there. And for this short session, just invite your own energy. That's really good. Well done. Coming back to this point. And just notice, is the room a little bit quieter and a little bit more peaceful? And then again, we've got the spirit connecting up, really light. It's almost as if the head's floating continuously up. We're starting to settle in our heart, which is our truth. We're in our truth. We feel authentic and present. And then we've also got our gut feeling. So hands on the belly, and just be aware of that gut feeling. And it might be vague. You don't have to generate it. It's already there. You just move your attention down through your head, through your body, till you get to that gut and around the hips even and all that area. And that is your gut feeling. And if it's vague, that's fine, because gut feelings are vague. And just being with that gut feeling will tend to slow down your processes. And finally, as we move down through the legs, perhaps I should have done this first, we want to be grounded. So I want you to feel your feet flat on the floor, and the bottoms of your feet particularly. And I want you to be aware of being grounded. That's often a sensation. It might be tingling or heat or cold or any sensation, but just the intention to be grounded. That's it, everyone. Really good. When you're working, one of the reasons to do these online practices is because we have a collective energy. It's quite easy to feel it all happen. I can feel, to feel the group do it all together. So you've done that really well. Sense of being connected with the ground. And you may notice that it's on one leg more than the other, or one leg and not really on the other. That's fine. But you can just ask with your intention that it pops across to the other leg. It's nearly always my right leg that's slightly ungrounded. And it's only an intention, an invitation. And then I tend to find that the right leg then grounds as well. And I feel plugged into the earth. And isn't it great that we're all now on the same earth, or effectively on the same piece of ground? And just because I'm feeling cute, what you can do, wordlessly or in any way, you can bless your space. You can clean your space. So it's just like, love, peace, harmony, but just have an intention from here that the space is blessed and cleaned. And I'll have it for this collective space as well. That's really good. And hopefully now we just all feel, I want you to notice the contrast, how we felt to how we feel now. Hopefully we just feel more here, ready to do this. And that is all a preliminary to Qigong. So all that said, we're just going to carry on with chilling out in that position for a moment. And I'm just going to do a basic body scan, and we're just going to basically settle even more into this seated position. So it can be really good to put your hands on your belly. Feel that gentle moving. And also, I'm just going to invite you to very gently with your fingertips. We'll try this. In order to calibrate sensitivity, I just want you to lightly touch your face with your fingertips. And even your eyes and eyelashes if you've not got glasses on or whatever. But that generally will calibrate your sensitivity to be gentle. Then you take that gentleness that you've generated and come down to your belly, and with those light fingertips, no harder than you would touch your own eye or eyelash, just tap around on your belly. Even you see what I'm doing, this kind of tickly motion. And all I'm doing, guys, is waking the nerves up. I'm just saying, hey, belly, we're doing a breathing session. When you've done that a little bit, you just observe and notice if the quality of the breath has changed. Has it got any smoother or softer? And this is a quick session, so we're not going to be able to cover the whole breathing. But if you just find where your ribs end, guys, that is your diaphragm. And that's the chief thing involved in your breathing. So again, just where the ribs end, there's kind of a spongy area just before the guts start. And just by going round, waking that up. Then when you breathe, Look for a sense of the diaphragm sinking on the in-breath and gently coming back to its own position, which doesn't require any effort, on the out-breath. So as the belly gets bigger, the diaphragm goes down, and so the lungs expand and air is drawn into them. And then on the way back up, it just goes back to its normal thing. And that is a fluid mechanic, and it's circular. It's not in, out, binary like computers. It is circular like the ocean. And it's how a baby breathes. Anyone here that did the breathing course, we then look at how to take that into the sides. And we look at how to take it into the back and the mid and upper sides and the mid and upper back. So what we end up with is the whole thing, except the chest is gently soft and rounded, and everything else is getting bigger and smaller. And gently, those pressures are gently giving our internal organs a massage. The breathing's through the nose. It's actually completely silent when the diaphragm does it, so there's no need to draw in through the nose. And this is the opposite to that stress response breathing. And you can even have a sense that you're breathing way into your heels. There's an old saying, the wise man breathes with his heels. Now, one more thing we're going to do while we're sat. We're just going to, essentially a body scan. So while keeping some of your attention in the bottoms of your feet, grounded, we then bring the rest of our attention up above the head. And I'm just going to guide you down. You can close your eyes. It's probably best. It's up to you. And just be aware of the top of your head. And we're going to attempt to pour ourselves more into our body. Be aware of the top of your head. Just observing what's there, checking in. When was the last time you paid attention to the top, the side, the forehead, the back of the head, your ears, the eyes, sense of your eyes softening and the quality of hearing softening. Now be aware of your face. Allow your face to sink and soften. Quite an odd thing in Taoism that we rarely let the face go neutral. You don't see it much in society, but everything melts down and outwards. Back of the head and the neck, sides of the neck, the front of the neck, and the throat, all that speaking we do. And now, like your mind soaking into a sponge, water soaking into a sponge, be aware of your shoulders. That's great, guys. The tops of your shoulders. If you tend to find feelings of strength or contraction there, that's just blocked energy to some extent. And we can do a lot just with our intention for that to soften and release outwards and down. Again, allowing the chest to soften and the heart to soften. How are we relating to ourselves? Just checking in a loving way. Feel the ribs and the spaces between the ribs, lower back, the kidneys, and just coming down to find that gut feeling and stay with that for a bit. That vague gut feeling around the belly area. Really good. And then just falling down into the hips. Allowing your ass to really be on the chair. And you can allow your energy and weight to just fall straight through the chair and through your knees. Down through the calves, letting everything just soften. And allowing your ankles to soften, and be aware of your feet and the bones of your feet and the spaces between the bones of your feet. The bottoms of the feet, and even directly into the floor a bit below your body. And if you've had your eyes closed, you can just gently open them, slowly with a couple of blinks. Now, anyone that's done my other courses will like this one. People that are on computers a lot. And my colleague Anna is on with us today. She's going to just be saying hi after this with me when we just do any questions or anything. This one's for Anna and anyone else that works with computers. So if you've got glasses, whip them off a set. All you're going to do is rub your hands together. Rub your hands together till they're warm. And then what you're going to do, you're going to come over your head, very gently, over your head, over your forehead, and down your face, down your neck, being careful of my microphone, and into the chest. And we're going to do that another 2 times. And the purpose of this is to get stuck, unoxygenated blood back out of the head and into the body. One more time. Over the top of the head, down the face, and into the body. Now just feel how you feel. Do you feel the contrast? Now that blood has moved out of your head. That's the natural path of how blood comes into the brain, bringing with it all its nutrients and everything. Then when there's waste from the brain, it wants to come back out, essentially down the face and kind of front of the throat. So just notice how you feel compared to how when we came in. We're sat, we're breathing, we're grounded. So before we stand up, which we will in a moment, I just want to let you all have a little rest. We like little gaps in all this so that you can absorb what you did. And while you're taking that little break, things that are important to us in Taoism, when we consider the body, as I mentioned, we've got these 3 energy centers: the head, the heart, the body, the gut. We've also got the space around us. We have an etheric field. So concerned as well with the space around our body. Just for fun, you can kind of imagine that you are in warm water, like you're in the sea in Ibiza or somewhere. And that feeling when you're in warm water and you're aware of the space that around your body as well as your body. We like to be concerned with that. And we're also concerned with what's above our head and what's below our feet. And then, as I talked about before, just that sense of time and whether we were really here. So we're interested in all these aspects of ourselves, and we're interested in breathing. Because one of the things that goes on with the body, all aspects of the body, right down to the cellular level, is it's getting bigger and smaller. And the most obvious part of that, of course, is our breath, probably. So what I'm going to do now, I am going to, you can just stand up where you are, but the idea really, just move this chair. The idea really, one of the things we want to do is that we sit, we do everything that we just did, and we've slowly left the day behind. Now, obviously, that gets quicker for someone that's practiced it. So it might be 5 minutes to do that process. But once we feel grounded and released and present and pretty good, and our breathing is reasonable and soft, we add one thing. We stand up. Now, if your legs are parallel, it's just a matter of standing up where you are, and you have added one component to the process. Really, there's lots that goes on in standing, but really the first thing we're trying to do is take what we did in the sitting process and not disturb it. You know, it's a bit like we've got a bowl of water with sand at the bottom. And as we stand, so again, I didn't do a very good job, but we won't just jump up out the seat. We'll move up slowly, trying to take all that calm and presence that we had in sitting, and we'll bring it into standing. So you could try your hands on your gut. And once again, you could be aware of your spirit, your head, your heart, that you are in your truth and it's open, and that sense of gut. That brings us down to the whole hips, guys. And all we do there is we say, what do you need? Kind of with the heart and the gut, we tune into the gut, the hips, and just say, what do you need? There's the sacrum and there's the hips. And it's just a matter of giving it some attention and tuning in. And then we move further down to the knees, which are a weight transference joint. They shouldn't be holding any weight ideally. And we ask what they need. And just by the point of asking, I don't know if you can see, but I'm just making these kind of intuitive adjustments. Then I tune into my ankles and I just say, hey, ankles, what is it you need? I don't make anything happen. They're kind of just softening and doing things. The same with the feet. What do the feet need? And because I've been practicing a while, just asking that, they start to just open, spread out, and blood starts to fill them. And we just stood. Then we make sure that the spirit is nicely lifted. Like I said, the chin is gently tucked. And the heart is open. We're in our body. And as you can see now, the first thing that we're trying to do standing is I am trying to be aligned. It's like these two, I've got my central line and I've got two lines going down here, straight through my knees into the ground. Now, one of the practices, you might have to look at the screen if you've got your eyes closed. Once everything is aligned and the head is lifted, in theory, I should just be able to let go, shouldn't I? Like a woman letting her hair down. So let's see how I go on. And I just let go. And I just melt and I just let everything hang off the bones. And I let everything that's holding and that isn't serving me just move down through the legs and out of the feet. And I just tune back in with that gut feeling. And that alone is a really good standing practice, that you just take some time to just breathe while you're standing. And you're just letting everything unbind outwards and downwards. You can actively, like we did, bring your attention to the top of your head while still having some attention in the soles of your feet, and just guide down. So we've got the head and the ears and the face. Such a challenge to let go of our face. It holds so much and picks up so much through the day. Oh, that's me. Oh, let go of my face. Let go of my face. And the shoulders that go, and the armpits are really important that they are open and gushy. The chest is soft. And the belly gets heavy and full. And the hips and the perineum open. I just felt some slight tension in one of my legs. I just needed to move it just to adjust so that gravity is not bearing down on me and the energy can just pass straight through me. You might find that one leg tends to hold and the other one's not doing so much. So you can encourage, in my case it's my right leg, I can encourage my right leg to do a little bit more. Great. Just going to look at the time. Okay. So standing is a practice in itself. Oh, guys, so if you're holding a tool, feel free to just go to neutral or be casual. Another thing you can do is just what I call the 3-year-old at the wedding bounce. You just bounce. But don't stand on ceremony now, you know, shake a leg out, do whatever you need. But we do that, and we do short periods of standing and then increasingly long periods of standing. Would you believe I sometimes hold that position or other postures for an hour? I know people that do more. One of the things, if you're not aware, when martial artists hold postures and really feel, it's a way of creating a real health, and not just health, but real strength, ridiculous strength in the body. And obviously in the West, it's like, what, just standing? But it really is. And one of the other things would be, it would be boring. Now, if you stand and you gap out and your mind goes somewhere else and you're not in your body, it will be boring. But there's so many things in Qigong with the breathing and everything to focus on that not a dull moment, as much as it may or may not seem like that. So, I'm going to move into a little bit of movement. So, let's see. A skill that we'll cover in the course that is called lengthening. It's different to stretching. Let me demonstrate. From my center, I grow out. Just try that. Well-being heavy. And then you just switch it off. But yeah, the ones I could see of you. From your center, from like the center of essentially from your spine, like a tree, you grow till you get to your shoulders, you grow through the armpits, out the arms. You grow right down the arms like a tree. And the thing that you may not be used to is if you want to get your energy right to the end of your fingers and toes, you grow past them a good few inches. Therefore, your mind extends into the space around your body, and that actually gets the blood and everything right to the fingertips. Now, there's many practices with lengthening. So if you watch, guys, I'll lengthen from my belly. The growth, the space isn't coming from me stretching my arms. It's coming from my internal organs releasing. And then, a bit more odd, but can you imagine that I can lengthen from my extremities, like my fingers and my toes? I can lengthen inwards. I'm growing from the extremities inwards. But don't worry too much about that. There's many other things that can be done. But just with that growing, and then releasing. And then what you can do if you go still, you can find that happening naturally within the body, because it is a natural process. We're doing it all the time, just like we're breathing. And then you can just notice it, encourage it to be even. So that is lengthening. You see how it's just gently lengthening out and then just going, relaxing. Another thing I want to bring your attention to is your blood. Now, and the bottoms of your feet. What I'm going to ask you to do is, from having your weight on the bottoms of your feet, like spread evenly across the bottoms of your feet, I'm going to ask you to have some pressure go more into the heel. Now, it's pressure, not balance or center of gravity. That means that you're still balanced on the whole foot, but the pressure tends towards the heel. And then just gently come back to the whole foot so that you feel the whole foot spread out. And then very gently once again, sit. It's kind of like just sitting on a little stool so that you go into your heels. If I just turn to the side, what you're effectively doing is getting a lot of blood moving by, when you go into the heels, it pulls blood deep into the body and it pulls blood down. And then when you release that and come back to a neutral posture, or even some pressure slightly on the ball of the foot, it all goes out to the extremities again. You are moving blood, and you are also, so be aware of being in the gut feeling like I talked about. You are moving blood, and you are also you are slowly waking up an area we call the qua. Just checking time. The qua is like, it's here, it's like your bikini fold. And it's really, slightly off camera there. It's really central to all this Qigong movement. It's where a baby moves from, and it's where all the movements that we're going to do come from. And we want it to get soft. And again, it's just sitting into it. It's not a mechanical Western exercise. It's kind of fluid. So it's a different way of being. And that will just help circulation. And I just want to plant that idea. We cover all these things in way more detail with lots of little exercises in the courses that I teach. So one more thing, because some people talked about, we're going to get a bit more. So if you've noticed, we've started to move, guys. Although this can be infinitesimally small, I can be sinking into the qua and then lengthening all the time while I'm breathing. So, what I want to do, the quickest way to get you into your shoulders, shoulder blades, really. So just try this with me. I just want to take both your hands as if you've got a ball in between them and just make a circle with that ball. Just feel what that feels like. Yeah, that's it. A nice slow circle, smoothing out the nerves. That's really good, everyone. Now just let the hands, so you just feel what I just wanted you to get a baseline of what that felt like. Now let's just take a hand. We're going to play a little game. Move the hand in space. Feel how it feels. Now, take your wrist. Move the wrist with the hand on the end of it. So the hand is just going for a ride now. Get that feeling. Take your forearm. Move the forearm and let the hand and the wrist go for a ride. Now take the elbow and let the forearm, the hand and the wrist go for a ride. Now take the upper arm and let the elbow, the forearm, the wrist, the hand and the fingers just go for a ride. Now take the shoulder and let the forearm, the elbow, the upper arm, the elbow, the forearm, the wrist, the fingers all go for a ride. Now take your shoulder blade. Let everything else go for a ride. Now that might be new to some of you, and hopefully you're like, whoa, that was working things a bit more. That's what we want. Shoulder blade is like the lost joint of the body. When we start using it, and particularly using it with circular motion, circular movements, we're going to get rid of a lot of shoulder problems, neck problems, headaches, tension in the head, all that business. So here's a really nice exercise. And if you've got anyone with heart issues in the family, getting them to do this gently can really be gold. So we're going to take our fingers and we're going to make them into what we call a little beak. Kind of like I'm Kermit the Frog, but without the puppet. Okay? And what we're going to do, we're going to find what we call the shoulder's nest. You'll find it naturally. It's a soft squidgy bit around here. And those are going to stay there. And then if you watch what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make circles with my elbows. I'm going to draw circles only to 70% of what I feel like I can do, guys. That's a key rule in all this. I'm going to draw these circles in space. How smooth can I make those circles with my elbows? And then I'm going to change direction. I'm going to draw circles the other way. Are you speeding up at a certain part of the circle? Are you avoiding part of the circle? Now that is really a shoulder blade exercise. It's just that we get the mind to use the elbows to move the shoulder blade. So now for a moment, close your eyes and just move those circles and get a gut feeling. Don't analyze, but just get a gut feeling what it feels like for your two shoulder blades to be making circles. And have you noticed how that starts to coordinate with that qua movement coming down into the heels like I talked about before? If that's happening, great. Get a gut feeling for that. And now we're going to come back, hopefully for a contrast. What I want you to do now is let your arms come out and keep making that shoulder thing. So you might want to close your eyes so it feels the same. But now your hands are in front of your body and you're once again making that circle. And you will find in terms of where your hands are, but don't put your mind in your hands too much. Keep your hands in the shoulder blades. There'll be a too wide, too narrow, just right, Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And that is where you want to make your circle. And be aware that we're not moving our hands in space. We are making circles with our elbows as we do that circle. And hopefully, look guys, the breathing's all there. We sink into the heels. As we go out, we're doing the lengthening, the relaxed lengthening. And then we're just allowing everything to come back. Don't try and coordinate your breathing with it. Remember how I said none of this can be made to happen. So all that happens is your breathing is smooth. So it doesn't matter if you're doing one breath to the movement, or 6, or 4.5. It really doesn't matter. And just try and get a sense of observing. You're not making anything happen, but you will be moving quite a bit of blood there. One more time. And now allow yourself to just go still, still. Let the hands come back to the side. Once again, we leave the past and the future and everything else just alone, and we let ourselves just tend inwards for a moment. And we let everything sink down through our bodies and gather in the belly with everything that's not serving us, just leaving through the floor. Once again, we check in with what the hips need. Just allow yourself to come naturally still. And because we can, now we sit back down. Hands on the belly. And you see how we've come full circle. Come back to where we were. And we just allow everything to tend in. And we want, like I said in the last course, the best way to excrete, before just moving on, we like to digest, just like when you've had your dinner. If you go running out, you're going to get some digestion problems. So hands on the belly and just have the sense that you are digesting a really nice meal that was really satisfying. You're taking the good from it, you're taking what's useful, and you're just digesting as your spirit and head is clear. You're present to your heart and in your truth. And that gut feeling has just gone all quiet and you're just digesting the session. The idea is that starting to communicate with the body, asking what it wants, starting to spend time and space for the body to express. And we're not dominating for a short time. Great. And at some point, you just get that gut feeling that says, I'm done. I'm ready to go on with the next thing. And there we go, guys. That's a short Taoist practice, a container. And we just put more things in, more things to play with. These are some of the basic components that are in all the Tai Chi and Qigong forms, but I like to start with the qualities. And hopefully you feel a little bit better, a little bit more equipped to just go on to the next thing. So thanks for joining me. Really appreciate you taking the time to join me. Thank you.